Okay, that was Chainsaw Man, Season 1, Episode 12. Again, I think that was the season finale. I'm not too sure. Obviously, we've tried to stay away from every information regarding this show.
The vibes of the ending definitely seemed like an ending.
I can't tell if I agree. It seemed like an ending. I can't tell if it's like a Spy Family ending, well, like where they come back with 12 episodes later on, or it's like, oh, Mob Psycho, 12 episodes in a season, you know? Regardless, great episode. I think that Chainsaw Man really leans in to wanting to do things differently and wanting to be praised for different things, which is amazing and says a lot when from one episode in, all I could do is compare it to other shows and Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's gone the complete opposite direction with things that I never expected them to. I think that...
I agree.
Like,
I think we talked about protag as an example of like what protag types are common in more action-packed shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's normally someone who's more righteous, kind of surface level of you can like this person, you think they're a good character, like good person, more morality-wise, but not any like major character flaws that will cause development throughout the story.
Yeah, and I think that is like reiterated with Denji here, of course. I like when Anna and I were in the car the other day, we were just comparing all the pro tags from all the different shows that we watch, you know? And you can make comparisons with a lot of them, as you could make a comparison with Denji with some other similar pro tags in very broad ways, vague ways. But I think that one thing that Denji brings to the table is uncertainty. I think that there is a freshness that comes into play in regards to Denji figuring himself out.
Right. The development that's going to happen there. Like, we have a protagonist that doesn't even truly know everything about himself. He's still learning. What does he want? What things does he actually enjoy? Because he hasn't really gotten to live a quote-unquote normal existence up until this very not normal existence he's now living, but it's still maybe closer to normal.
It's brilliant because in one way they're showing us exactly who Denji is and what he prioritizes, right? What his desires in life are from what we know at the moment. But it's made clear to us in a very straightforward way that the thing that he wants is what's going to give him the best life.
Right. The morality there isn't so like... a lot of protagonists are very, like, selfless, I guess, in terms of wanting to save everyone. Even if I put my body through the ringer or I die, as long as I saved another person, it's worth it. Yeah,
I think them giving to us Denji's point of view only causes for more uncertainty in a lot of ways. Because, I know a little bit about Denji, and I know that he wants these kind of things for himself, but with that comes the uncertainty of the opportunities that have yet to present themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Because from Katana Devil, I'm assuming, or Katana Man, we got a lot of conversation about what Denji wants, why he's doing what he's doing, why he is where he is. And I thought that, okay, I'd be interested to know if the Katana Man would offer him something, but I think that was just to reiterate the point of there could very well come a time and a place where Denji is offered a pretty sweet deal that he's either going to take and we're going to be like, holy shit, because we've forgotten about how his priorities lay out, or he's going to, say, fuck those priorities. I've changed and realized I prefer the brat and the snob,
Yeah, like, how, we've had this kind of dog analogy with him from episode 1. He's been called a dog, loyal dog. We've also been kind of told this idea of, well, devils and fiends have this unpredictability to them where you don't truly know if they're always they can't really be 100% loyal. That's not how they work. Like, when Power ran away during the battle where Himeno died, all the fiends apparently ran away when they were all getting attacked by the Gun Devils mafia members, basically. And there's an unpredictability to Denji as well, not necessarily because of the fact that he is now this inhuman. He was always that way because his priorities were more on self-preservation or doing things he wanted because of how he grew up.
Yeah.
And the only person who he had ever grown to kind of put above himself or on equal footing with himself in terms of importance to preserve is Pochita.
Yeah. Hear me out here, because at first it might sound like a bizarre statement, but I think Denji might be one of the most relatable characters or protagonists in any anime, period. And yes. I think that when I say that, what I infer, like, obviously, like, the first thing to grab onto is, oh my god, Ben's sitting here killing fiends so he can protect porno mags. And even though that's true, that's not what I mean. I think that with a lot of protagonists, it's the journey that they have to make emotionally or physically. And you're able to latch on to their great morality or their growing morality. Mm-hmm. But I don't often look for connections, like, critically in the moment in other protagonists like I do Denji. When he was having the conversation with Katana Man and they were talking about killing the devil or the zombies and stuff, like, there are a lot of points where I'm like, oh no, yeah, I agree with Denji here. Oh, I don't agree with him, but I understand why I don't, because this is the path he's come from. Or this is his in the moment desire because he's a young kid, you know?
There's definitely a merit to a very genuine, morally good character, and that as a protagonist. But we were also talking about how those are never really the characters that, from conversations we've had with people about who their favorite characters from certain anime are, or who ours are, it's never really those main protagonist characters that are the kind of good boys and good girls and the lovable, do no wrong, you are always serving the best interests of others and protecting others and caring for others, and the love in your heart is overflowing, and it's so lovely, and it's lovely to follow them, but they're never like the ones that you want to, get the figure for, or have the merch for, or it's not the one that you're being like, that is my favorite character. Like, we both identified that the characters that you see go leaps and bounds internally with themselves, and where, yes, maybe that protagonist, you're watching a physical journey, that's awesome and cool in terms of physical improvement, power improvement. But I love the ones that are going through an internal journey where they are starting out as maybe angry, and then they go to seeking forgiveness, or villain to friend, or somewhere in the middle.
It's so evident to me that there's a conscious effort to deviate from the standard in the show. Like, I agree with everything you just said, and to reinforce it, like, they had a physical training arc that happened mostly off screen, other than just to show us that they can flex with cool animation and what character intelligence is to look like for thinking about going ahead, like in the Denji Katana Man fight.
Oh, okay. I was thinking in the training arc with power through the door with the spears.
But it was a breadcrumb to foreshadow what is to come, how Denji needs to literally and figuratively use his head in the future, and how there needs to be other development. But I think a lot of...
oh my god, you're right. Use his head, and then at the very end there, all he has left is his head.
I think that a lot of anime would or manga would focus heavily on that. And where they aren't... They're showing us where they would focus on that, but that's not the core of Denji. Obviously, we're going to touch on it later, but they glaze over that and show us all these, internal dreams or, end credit scenes and, figure, apparently, that I'm assuming is connected to Denji, which all relates to his internal and his thought process going forward, and who that's gonna make him be. What is gonna change Denji obviously wasn't his training. What's gonna change Denji is the things that we know are important to him, whether that's Pochita or Moose, country or city Moose. It seems like that's the route we're going with him. I wanted to touch on another thing, since I had just said what I love about the show is how it seems like they specifically choose to deviate from what is expected. And in fighting, I think that I might be off base here, but it seems like there's an intention that they aren't fighting the same way normal animes fight in regards to like big action shots for one strike or anything like that. Instead, they choose to play up the absurdity and cliche of my special sword move, but at the same time, they want to innovate. And when they innovate, they decide to use these crazy moving camera. And more than anything, the best part of the fight scenes by far in this anime, in the last 12 episodes, is the environment and usage of environment. And
once they got onto a train, I was like, ooh, Ben's gonna love this. And then you said it, and I was like, he loves it.
What I loved wasn't that they got on the train, because that's when the cliche started. What I loved is how they got on the train.
Yeah.
And how they didn't even show us them really breaking out of the building, because that's what typically would happen. No, instead, they show us Denji with his feet pushed up to the ledge of the building, and then the ledge of the building breaking, and then him falling back and going through a billboard. Those things don't need to happen, but that's the attention to detail that elevates this show for me, at least, you know?
Another thing of where it deviates is I know we're already talking about morally good and genuine characters and how they can be great, obviously, and very enjoyable to watch. Also because they're easy vessels for the viewer to kind of put themselves there, because they are somewhat shallower and more surface level than some of the other characters. It's easier for the viewer to insert themselves in that point of view and in that character. But the other thing that this show deviates from what I normally see is how they show characters do things that are quote unquote bad or not nice, and they don't condone it. They don't celebrate those things, but they show them as realistic things in a part of these characters that don't necessarily make these characters bad people.
Yeah.
But just that they are not perfect. They are not 100% good. They're not evil villains, but
Makes
they're
them
just
more
like
relatable.
they're more realistic
Yeah.
people. Like, if you have a friend and you think about that friend, I'm sure you can think of a couple things that person does that aren't the nicest thing in the world or aren't the best thing in the world, but they're not an evil villain that is murdering people.
Yeah. Going to the first fight of the episode, Aki and the Ghost Devil, as well as just the whole interaction with Sawatari, I loved well, first of all, of course, I loved the Ghost Devil giving the cigarette that says easy revenge on it, but the concept of him having the information that has been dropped before, I'm pretty sure, that the Ghost Devil sees with fear. I am 90% sure we heard that before, but I could...
If we did, it did not stick.
Even if we didn't, whatever, it was so cool to just see Sawatari's face.
It's immediate fear kind of reaction from her, and it was
so cool.
And just seeing like Aki start to... Obviously, they were like, we already had him walking up the stairs into this room, and I bet you guys loved it, so now we're gonna have him walk up the Ghost Devil.
The best part of that was the sound design. You could hear, like, the hair. There was great editing.
The petals of the flowers.
Yeah, there was great editing when Aki was thinking about Himeno, and it was, like, in normal shows, they let us see the flashback for about, like, 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds. This was, like, less than half a second, and it was so appreciated. I was like, thank you for not thinking I'm stupid. Like, thank you for letting me just, like, get what he's probably envisioning.
That's another thing. The show does not treat us like we're stupid. We also
Even though we probably are a lot of the times, I appreciate it. It's nice.
Do they ever do recaps? I don't think the show does recaps at the beginning of episodes.
No.
No.
Unless it's needed, like in Himeno's death. I think like they use it intentionally.
That's the only one that I can really think of, and that is very intentional to get the viewer back into the mood of what was happening.
Yeah.
Set the scene, you know. Candlelight dinner with rose petals. Set the scene.
I wanted to talk to you about what you think's going on with the Katana Devil. So the Katana Devil is like we had dialogue
The grandson.
Yeah, the grandson. We know that they are in a very similar position to that of Denji. but why isn't he enough? Is the Gun Devil trying to get as many of these people as, like, collect them all? Or is Denji very special because of his relationship with Pochita?
Part of me sees it as, if I was the Gun Devil and I was possibly a heart inside a human body, similar to how Katana Man and Chainsaw Man are, if I were them, I would, and I was obviously...
So do you think that the Gun Devil is like them?
I'm gonna say yes.
Really?
No, wait, they can't make contracts.
I was actually writing this down because you don't know that. You don't. We have never been told that. We technically don't know if Denji could make a contract because Denji is not a fiend. Denji is not a devil. But I don't think that the Gun Devil is like Denji personally, but I think it's an interesting point because what if Denji can make contracts?
Right. Well, where I was going with that is if you're the Gun Devil, and what we've heard from the Gun Devil is the Gun Devil likes money, and the Gun Devil likes to be powerful. And the Gun Devil would probably think that things like him would jeopardize the Gun Devil's position and power. If there are other weapons that cause like mass damage and panic, you know, maybe the goal is to get rid of the competition.
Yeah.
And obviously Katana Man's already kind of in his grasp. So why does, you know, so he's using Katana Man against Chainsaw Man, and he just wants the hearts. If Katana Man's already a pawn of his, then he's going to use this pawn to collect the other hearts.
Yeah.
And then just dispose of him.
I feel like you and I can typically tell how into a show we are by how often we talk about it off camera.
Yes.
On the way to work, I was trying to talk to Anna about the Gun Devil and what just like thoughts about him broadly. But just for fun, like as a fun experiment, you sometimes wonder what antagonist that we haven't seen's motive is, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to try to, like, there are a bunch of different villains in anime or storytelling in general, and whether that's the meticulous, well thought out antagonist or a flat, one-dimensional, like, oh, I'm evil because I'm the bane of all evil, which is totally okay, and you can make that an amazing story depending on how you go about it. It's the execution, but it makes you have a few questions about the Gun Devil. So when I was in the car with Anna, I was posing questions to her like, okay, Gun Devil's the good guy in this scenario. Gun Devil accidentally did what he did, the past incident we heard. Maybe he sneezed, maybe he was in a fight with somebody, maybe he was being chased, maybe it was accidental overkill based off of like trying to self-defense. Like there are a lot of like, we shouldn't assume that because nothing's given us that idea, but it's an interesting thought to think of because when I think of the idea of different devils gauging and how they're scaling in power, when I hear about the Gun Devil and then him potentially collecting other people or wanting other people on his side, because at the end of the day, Katana Man is on his side. It could be a very similar mission to what Aki has towards the Gun Devil. Maybe the Gun Devil is trying to find as many strong people so he can take down the Nuke Devil. Like, we don't know a lot.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a theory about why I think that giant horrible thing happened with the Gun Devil all those years ago. I'm thinking, I mean, what we heard was right after that, the Gun Devil went in hiding. No one knew where the Gun Devil was. But we're hearing that the Gun Devil loves money and is setting up contracts to sell guns.
Or wants money.
Wants money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with loves money for my theory. And I'm going with what is something that we see and we might know of, which is causing something to happen in order to profit from it. And so he does something to cause mass fear of guns, and then he sits back and he collects the money. You know, selling the guns. Because now people fear guns. Now people want to use them.
Well, wouldn't that increase his power at the same time?
Yeah, he's just building his power.
Yeah.
He did the one big thing, and now he's just that to get all those people to want to buy guns, to set up all those contracts, to sell guns, to really just put guns out there.
Yeah.
And it was all just a marketing ploy. It was literally like a giant marketing tactic.
It's interesting. It's like, it's so evident to me that there's a conscious effort to deviate from the standard in the show. It's like, it's so evident to me that there's a conscious effort to deviate from the standard in the show. There's a conscious effort to deviate from the standard in the show.
There's a conscious effort to deviate from the standard in the show.